There's this group that they have me speak every year, and they're factory workers, and just very blue collar, and it's about 500-600 people, and it's at the point where I'm out of material, and they're like, just come. This past year, I was talking to Jerry, who brings me in every year. He's one of the top executives there, and he's just like, just come. This year, we're going to have a big bonfire, a big baked bean contest. Now, the weird part about that is they have me talk about safety in the workplace. Safety starts with attitude. And I said, Jerry, I got to tell you, that does not sound safe. Feeding people beans and putting them around a fire. I know, that was inappropriate. But there's this lady who always helps me with my book table. I always make books available as a second helping. And there's this lady, Mary, who always does my book table. But Mary's been a chain smoker for, I don't know, since she was 10 or something like that. Literally. And it's kind of affected her vocal cords. Great woman. And every time she sees me, she's like, Sam, give me a hug. I love her. She's actually a great lady. After you hug her, you smell like Newports or Gammas. But she had a heart attack. It was her third one. And she was fine. But somebody from her office called me up and said, Sam, Mary just loves your stuff. This is her third heart attack. Would you just call her and share some encouraging words? I really didn't know what to share. And I was like, hey, you should lay off the candle. My wife said, why don't you share a funny story with her? So I called her, and her voice was very faint. And then after I read her this story that I'm going to read to you, she said, this is the best heart attack I've ever had. Now, don't take this story the wrong way. It's not a religious story. It's just a very dysfunctional, good story. It's a grandmother writing her granddaughter a letter. Dear granddaughter, the other day I went up to our local Christian bookstore. Sorry. I saw a Honk If You Love Jesus bumper sticker. I was feeling kind of good that day, so I come from a thrilling choir performance followed by a thunderous prayer meeting. So I bought the sticker and put it on my bumper. Boy, I'm glad I did. What an uplifting experience it followed. I was stopped at a busy red light at a busy intersection, just lost and thought about the Lord and how good He is. And I hadn't noticed that the light had changed. It's a good thing somebody else loves Jesus. Because if He hadn't started honking, I would have never noticed. In fact, I found a lot of people love Jesus. While I was sitting there, the guy behind me started honking like crazy. He was screaming out the window, for the love of God, go, go, go! What an exuberant cheerleader he was for the Lord. Everyone was honking. I just leaned out the window and waved at all those loving people. I've honked my phone a few times. There must have been a man from Florida back there because I heard him yelling something about a sunny beach. I saw another guy waving at me with only his middle finger stuck in the air. I wasn't sure what that meant, so I asked my teenage grandson in the back seat, and he says, Grandma, it's probably the Hawaiian good luck sign. Well, I've never been to Hawaii, so I gave him the Hawaiian good luck sign right back. A couple people were so caught up in the joy of the moment, they got out of their cars and started walking towards me. I figured they wanted to know what church I attended or where I got the sticker, but I noticed that the light had changed. So grinning, I waved at all my brothers and sisters and drove through the intersection. I noticed that I was the only car that got through the intersection before the light changed again. I was kind of sad that I had left them after sharing a wonderful experience, so I slowed the car down, leaned out the window, and gave them all the Hawaiian good luck sign. We'll ride again soon. Love, Granny. Let's give Grandma a hand. One of the reasons why I really hit the humor hard also is years ago when my mom was diagnosed with cancer. Here's where we're going to increase your appraisal of attitude. I will backtrack a little bit. I was getting ready to speak to this group. It was a conference for 1,000 salespeople, and the guy before me, he was another speaker, another author, and he starts ripping on speakers that talk about attitude. It's a perfect setup for me. But he had the crowd in the palm of his hand. He's like, don't you say speakers come out and say, it's just all about attitude. And they're like, yeah, kill him! You know? People People are kind of looking at me backstage like, this isn't going to be good for you. I was okay with it, because I used to be on that side. I knew my stuff, and I walked out, and when they introduced me, that was fun. The heckling started right there. Like, I'd like to bring out the attitude guy. And when I walked out there, I knew I wasn't going to have them until I shared the real value of attitude, because this guy distorted it. It's attitude first. Think about the company you work for now. Think about the company you work for now. How did it start? Somebody took an idea and they partnered it with an attitude of possibility. And they rolled it out. And it became so strong that it attracted you eventually. That's what creates momentum, synergy. It has to start somewhere. It's with that attitude. If I start a business with the wrong attitude, is it going to work? No. But if I start the business with the right attitude, at least I got a good chance. Well, I walked out and I said, when my mom was diagnosed with cancer, the doctor was a very cold room. The doctor pulled up a chair and he said, you have cancer, here's where it's at. And then he said this. He says, your treatment will be 10% what we do and 90% your... Does that put it in perspective for you? If you've ever known anybody that's gone through that or been through it yourself, you know it all is about attitude, right? And my mom, you see, my parents had me when they were 19 years old. They went camping, and it was a great camping experience. I tell people all the time, my mom's 44, my mom still has the power to embarrass me. She was, we were at Christmas thing, she said, yeah, we had s'mores, and then we had Talk about ruining a delicious treat for me. Everybody will eat s'mores the same again. My parents have two different personalities. My mom's got that personality that she wears her party pants every day. And you know it. If she was here, you would know it. She's a beautiful woman, but she's got a laugh that it's not normal. She knows it. It's like a Wookiee and a horn. And a Sasquatch. If she was here, many of you would be like, somebody brought a pet. And it's wounded. So Mom kind of lost her laugh a little bit and her attitude. You see, Dr. William Glasser says all that life gives us is information. Everything is raw data. Everything happening is raw data. And where do we interpret it? We interpret it with our attitude. So if you're a positive person, you're going to look for the silver lining. If you're more of a pessimist, if you win the lottery, how's your interpretation going to be? Yeah, IRS will probably take all that. Do you see the process? We interpret our information based on our mental state. Sometimes we have to change the filter, work on our attitude a little bit, which we'll get into in a little bit. So, however, Mom's attitude, she just lost her laugh. And I don't have the cure for cancer. But I had just started speaking, and I started doing some research, and I found a story about a guy by the name of Norman Cousins. Here's a guy who had a debilitating disease the doctors couldn't find a cure for him. He overheard them talking, and the doctor said, there's nothing we can do. Let's just make him feel comfortable as he's on his way out. Norman's like, I'm not ready to check out yet. So he had his friends bring in a VCR with funny videos, and he just would watch these funny videos all day long, and he would laugh. And he found that as he laughed, his body released these chemicals called endorphins. It gave him a natural high, relieved him of depression, anxiety, fear, stress, and pain. Those endorphins created a morphine-like effect which allowed him to sleep peacefully where the medicine they gave him could not. The doctors were dumbfounded. They're like, Norman, keep laughing. But Norman got to the place we all need to get. Once you get that right attitude, don't you want to give it away? And he did. One morning he got up, he grabbed his apple juice off his breakfast tray. He decided to share his newfound humor. He walked over by the bathroom door, and there's a little cup to ask you to go in and fill up to do a urinalysis. He took his apple juice and poured it in there. The nurse came in, she saw it, she goes, Norman, I haven't seen it look like this. This is an odd color. I'm going to have a doctor come up and look at this really quick. Norman got out of bed, he grabbed it, and he said, don't worry about it, I'll run it through one more time. laughed the loudest. And back when you had to know somebody to make a CD, remember that? Do you guys remember? Do you know anybody that does CDs? Yeah, this guy in the band, I don't know. It's like $200. I made one CD. It was awesome. And we found that when we listen to people laughing, you laugh with them. My mom had an hour commute to work, an hour something commute home. She had a very high stressful job. And, was that you? Good. I mean, you came up earlier, so okay, great. Anyways, he's got a bolt. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Give him a hand. So we put that in her Honda Accord. She listened to that for a whole year. And it worked. She listened to it to get her attitude right for the day. And then she listened to it to decompress from the day. So she wasn't really in a toxic work environment and giving it to her family. Sometimes we got to decompress a little bit. And that helped her. Mom's cancer-free today. And give me, I'm not saying that it is the answer, but it sure does help. I like that quote from Stuart Scott, the ESPN announcer. He said, just because you die of cancer doesn't mean the cancer wins. You beat cancer in the way you live, in the manner in which you live, and why you live. And it all starts with attitude. That right there, what he said, is what attitude's all about. Let's get into the next idea. I'm going to have to go a little quicker here. All right. Number two. Number two. What's it say? Choose an attitude that works for you. Choose an attitude that works for you. Your attitude is your choice. Nobody's going to determine your attitude but you. I had this one lady come up to me. She goes, I've got a good attitude. It's other people that keep messing it up. You got to choose an attitude that makes you look good, makes your business look good, and works for you. I was a guest at the DoubleTree Hotel in Minnesota, and apparently I was chosen to be the guest of the day. The young man who came to the door had about as much enthusiasm as that paint drying right now. I opened the door, and he goes, hello, Mr. Glenn, you've been chosen to be our guest of the day. Here's a selection of cheeses. Does that feel like the guest of the day? So I decided to mess with him a little bit. I'm like, it's cheeses? He goes, no, it's cheese! He screamed it at me. You gotta choose an attitude that works for you. Think about it. I went to this other hotel. I have a lot of travel stories because I travel quite a bit. But I went to this other hotel and I didn't have their rewards program. And but they had like 8 cases of water. Do you guys have Costco here? Okay, they had like those 36 things, 12 cases of water. I was thirsty. And the young lady behind the counter, she's helping me check me in, but obviously she's somebody who's been trained by somebody that's not an eagle. She didn't get it. The key is you got to start doing what's right. Sometimes you got to step out of bounds to do what's right. And so I said, can I get one of those bottles of water? And she goes, I'm sorry, you're not one of our VIPs. I'm like, okay. It's like, where will my room be tonight? Like hot next to the dumpster. She didn't get it. She's like, no, we have you on the second floor. You have a window? So I pulled out a $10 bill and I put it on the counter and said, can I just buy one? I'm just really, really thirsty. She goes, I can't do that. If I did that for you, I'd have to do it for everybody. And she says, there's a vending machine at the end of the hallway. So I had all my luggage and I walked all the way down to the end of the hallway. And apparently all the non-VIP members took all the water out of it. There's no water left in it. So I walked back down to the counter and said, there's no more water in there. And I said, what do I do? And she goes, well, there's a gas station across the street. Would I refer my grandma to this hotel? Would I tell you to go there? Did she get it? Was she acting like an eagle or a dodo bird? Your attitude's either in the way or making a way. And I understand when you're in the business of providing the finances for somebody to get a home, I'm sure you guys could probably come across people who their credit's not great and they don't get approved. Am I correct in saying that? No. Let me share with you a little story. A friend of mine, he lost everything in 2009. Lost his business, they lost their home. I think a lot of people went through a hard time. And some people, they're trying to fight their way back. They're trying to get back. They're trying to get back to a place where a house is not just a house. It's a home. It's where birthdays happen, dreams happen, Christmas happens, memories happen. To them, it's their heart. That's what it is. So he applied for a loan, and I think you have a choice in what you do. You can be brutally honest with somebody, or you can be thoughtfully honest with somebody. Because some people, their credit's not going to be there, but they're giving it a shot anyway. They're trying to improve their life. And so he said that the loan officer that he applied for, he said he applied to 2 different places. The first guy contacted him and says, there's nothing we can do. You got to get some of this wiped off your credit report and all this stuff. And never heard from him again. He asked him a couple questions, didn't hear from him. The guy just moved on. Hey, it's all about sales. Got to keep moving. Yeah, I get that. But at the same time, you got to choose an attitude that makes your organization look good. He said the other loan officer took a couple minutes and he opened up the file and he says, I apologize. We can't approve this for you, but I've got like 5 or 6 ideas for you, suggestions that you could improve your credit so that this dream of one day having a house will happen in the next couple of years for you. And he said when he shared that, he was so grateful. One guy was brutally honest, the other guy was thoughtfully honest. Who do you think is going to get the business in a couple of years? You see, everybody knows somebody. This guy's going to tell the story to other people. And when he tells the story to other people who are looking for a house or looking for the funding, who's he going to share with them? This guy. You see, we have to choose an attitude that works for us. Here's the third idea. Moving along. This is the third idea. What time is it? Okay, I'll go really fast here. Is everybody doing all right? Has this program been suitable so far? I know I'm not part of the Royals championship team, but I'm not Lorenzo Kane. Are you guys Kansas City Chief fans? What? Bears? No. That's okay. Actually, it is impressive how your Chiefs did turn it around. Because I really thought Andy Reid was going to, I thought they were going to ask him if he lost one more game. Like, they were just going to let you go now. Wow, what a way to turn it around. What a way to get momentum. And it is inspiring. And that leads me to my next point. We have to connect to the things that inspire us. I've had people, there's organizations that don't have meetings like this because they don't believe in the power of inspiration. But that inspiration, it lights a fire in our attitude. I was getting ready to speak to 1,000 salespeople, and they sell, government equipment or something, I don't know. But the sales guy, the head sales dude, he was out there on the stage, and he was trying to light a fire under their butts. He said, "Who do I? I can see him on the big screen, and I can't hear exactly what he's saying, but I just hear, I was just like, what is he doing? He's trying to motivate him. And here's the key. Sometimes people don't need a fire lit under their butt, do they? If you really want to get better results, you start by lighting a fire in people's hearts. Because the greater the purpose people have in what they do, they show up. And sometimes we all get off track. When I was buying my wife's engagement ring, I was at the Walmart jewelry counter for like a half hour. And, kidding. I was at the jewelry counter, I was changing a battery in a watch. And there's a lot of watches, and when I find one, I just stick with it until it dies or I lose it again. And I was waiting to have my battery changed. I was there for a half hour. People saw me, they acknowledged me. Walmart employees saw me. You ever do one of these where you're like, I don't know if you imagine my wife hates when I do this, where you're like, come here. They just kind of walked by casually like, I was like, come on. So finally I decided to go find somebody with some authority. And I saw this lady, she had a walkie-talkie in the back of her pants. They don't give those out to just anybody. You got a walkie-talkie in your company? You're doing all right. You're doing good. You're making it. So I walked up to her very politely, and I said, excuse me, I'm over here trying to get a battery change in my watch. Can somebody help me? She snapped at me. In customer service, when is it ever a good idea to snap at a customer? Oh, there it is. Customer service 101. Having a bad day? Let the customer know that. Point 2, don't hold back. Point 3, let them really have it. Point 4, their business isn't that valuable. Really dig in. She snapped at me. She goes, sir, I saw you standing over there. I've called somebody twice. I don't know why they're not coming. Could you please be patient with us? We're very busy. What would you do in that moment? What would you do? Anybody? Would you just leave? See, I wish I had that self-control. But I believe what we permit, we promote. And as a customer, I don't tolerate that. It would be a disservice not to say something. And there's moments where I have said things where I create teachable moments, and my wife was like, can we not do teachable moments today? But I also believe this. I believe in giving people the benefit of the doubt, that sometimes pressure does build up and our attitude gets off track. And here's what I've learned, is that if your attitude's working, somebody's isn't, you give them a piece of your attitude. That's what teamwork is all about. I love this little quote. This little quote, the strength of the wolf is in the pack, and the strength of the pack is in the wolf. You should remember that. Because we're all going to have days where we walk in, we're like, I don't feel like doing this today. And we have to lean on each other and encourage each other to keep going. That's what teamwork is. That's how you turn it around. That's how you keep things going forward. And so this lady, I'm a big fan of Walmart. Ever since I did a big book report on Sam Walton, I mean, I like the history there. I like the entrepreneurial story. I love it. I do believe he'd be doing flips in his, he's probably doing flips in his grave because the customer service at Walmart is just, they need help. And so I leaned over to this woman and very politely, I could have walked out, I could have said, let me see your manager, I could have barked at her, I could have done a number of things. But I leaned over and I decided her attitude's off track, I'm going to give her a piece of mind. This lady needs a little inspiration today. She needs something to turn it around. I think I got it. So I leaned in and very quietly I said, I'd like to buy you a Snickers bar. Can I do that? She looked at me, she goes, what? I want to buy you a Snickers bar because when you get hungry, you get Did it land? Yes. She started to laugh and she put everything down. She goes, I'll take care of you. She changed the battery and she doesn't know my name. She doesn't know what I do. But I'm a point of positivity for that lady. Did it make her day? Yeah. Did it put her back on track? Yeah. Bet you the next customer that encountered her got some really good service. You know what? When I walk into Walmart and she sees me, like I said, she doesn't know what I do, my name, anything. But I'm a point of positivity for her. That's what teamwork's all about. She'll stop what she's doing, she'll see me, and she just says it like loudly. She's like, Snickers guy! It's so weird because people are looking, I'm like, you gotta connect to what inspires you. Maybe it's reading a book, maybe it's calling a friend, maybe it's taking a nap, maybe you gotta do things that bring your attitude to life. That's my third point. The fourth point is this, is you gotta keep getting better. Companies get better, or business gets better when the people in the company get better. If you guys want to keep getting better, if If you want the business to get better, you got to keep getting better. You got to keep working on yourself. Now, after I turned 40, I encountered a real challenge. My metabolism died. I got to tell you, like my whole life I've been fit, I've worked out, I've played sports, and after 40, something went wrong. I just look at like the calories on like a Snickers. I don't know. I mean, but my wife and I, we actually got serious about it. You know, my brother kind of confronted me, he goes, dude, you got 2 little girls. You guys want to be around for them. Because if you get down to at least 280, I'll give you $1,000. I'm like, I like that. I'm thinking more too. My wife and I, we got serious about it, and so I have a trainer right now. I don't think it's going well. He's a sumo wrestler, and the diet he's got me on is not. But I'm on like day 5 of this workout thing, and I'm down like 4 pounds, and we're celebrating. My wife's like, hey, nobody's gonna see it, but you know. She's like, you gotta be consistent, Sam. You gotta keep being better. If you want to be a better parent to your kids, Sam, you gotta get better. If you want to be better at what you do, you gotta keep getting better. People will see me 5, 6 times, and I love it when they say, Sam, you keep getting better. I would be mortified if somebody came out and said, wow, I saw you like 3 years ago. You got average. I want to keep getting better. Especially when you're in my business. I don't have like a big corporate budget. We rely on word of mouth. That's how it works for us. But that's the best marketing we have. That is our marketing department. People tell, hey, I don't remember his name, but he's a little kooky, but he has fun at meetings. You know, that's how it works for me. You got to keep getting better. I learned this from a guy that I bought a car from. I believe that you got to keep learning, and this guy, he's become a good friend, a good mentor. You just never know when you're going to connect and click with somebody, and they're going to be a friend for years. And his name is Rick, and I was in the market for a new car. And a friend of mine referred me to their dealership. I don't like going to buy cars, because usually when you show up outside a dealership, what do you see? All the car salespeople outside. Come on in, let's run your credit. I don't like that experience. When I went to this one place and I showed up, I knew it was going to be a good experience, because the lady behind the information counter, she popped her head up. She goes, "What's up, good looking?" It's like, yeah, what the sexy? It's like, nice car today. The sales guy came out, he was really cool. He says, man, we're going to fit you for a car, you're a big deal. They fitted me for a Nissan Armada. It's 3 miles per gallon, but I fit. And that's the feature I was looking for. I'm waiting to get called into the finance department, and I've got my little free cup of coffee, and I'm walking around the showroom, and I need Rick. Now, have you ever met somebody and you're like, it might be a little off? Because you just don't know. Rick is the kind of guy, when I first met him, I thought, do you need to take something? Or did you take too much? I just thought he was their special employee. That secret budget that funds the one person that keeps everybody entertained. He walked up to me and he just, now I'm 6'6", he's not. And he walks up and he's just so full of life. He's got that one attitude that makes excellence and going to the next level possible. He's got enthusiasm. I love enthusiasm. You gotta have it. It's the fire and the attitude that keeps it burning. He walks up behind me, he's like, hey big guy, what kind of car did you get today? Oh, I got the Nissan Armada. He's like, yeah. He's got this weird kick. Seriously, when you meet this guy, you're like, is he right? And you want to tell him, hey, you know, they serve decaf now. You get a half-caf decaf if you want it. starts asking me, what do you do for a living? I said, well, I'm a professional speaker, I'm an author. And he goes, what do you write books on, or what do you speak on? I said, well, it's all about attitude. He goes, yeah, it is. It's all about attitude. So I'm going to check you out, man. I was like, okay. I didn't think anything of it. I thought, what a weird moment. I go in, I drop off my Armada for the first oil change, and I hear somebody yell. They have this beautiful facility, and they have these offices upstairs, and I hear somebody yell over the balcony, attitude guy! Woo! One of those moments you're like, okay, somebody call me now. I knew he was talking, he comes running down, he runs up, he's like, hey, attitude guy, what are you doing here? I'm here to get an oil change, it's going to happen every 3,000 miles. The things you have off. And I could tell he wanted to talk a little bit. And so I said, Rick, what do you do here? It's like a scene out of Office Space. You guys ever seen that show? I could loop that all day long at one part, but they're like, what would you say you do here? Because there's so many times when you get bad customer service, I want to use that line. Because you have a choice to help people or not. And I just want, when they're not helping you, they're resisting, you just kind of want to, they're being the dodo bird, you just kind of want to say, hey, what would you say you do here? You could have helped me, but you've done so much. So, he says, I own this place. And the next thing out of my mouth had no filter. I said, how did that happen? Because he just didn't seem like a car sales guy. And he says, my grandparents started it. And he says, I've been running it for 25 years. And he said, this is a guy who knows what's driving his bus. And I like that. He said, we're not here to sell you one car. We're here to provide all your transportation needs for the rest of your life and everybody you know. And he said, we hope you live a long time. That's it. That's a guy who knows what attitude is driving his bus. I was looking at this morning. Here's somebody else who knows what's driving the bus. Jack Tate. I don't know. It's a little quote by his picture. This is providing people with the funding they need to make their life happen is an opportunity. I appreciate it every day. That is what's driving his bus. What's driving your bus? I like that. And then he said, hey man, after every meeting, I like to do something upbeat and inspirational. And he says, I've been doing the closing for our meetings for 20 years. He goes, today we got the attitude guy. He goes, would you come up and give us a kick in the attitude? I felt kind of put on the spot. I was in sweatpants, I was dressed down. I wasn't like dressed up like I am now. And I said, hey man, I'm just here for an oil change. He says, we'll give you a free oil change. Let's do this gig, man. I went up there spoke to him for like 25 minutes. I never talked to car salespeople before. This was the first time. And I was a little afraid. I thought their arms would be crossed and be like, what's this guy talking about attitude? What were you fighting? I realized it was a very positive group. They had the same look that a lot of you have in this room. They didn't need it. They didn't need me. They already had that spark of enthusiasm. They already knew what was driving their bus. You know what I was doing? I was just fueling it. Some people think when there's a speaker on attitude, it's because, what, are we doing bad? Things are going bad. This kind of thing with a speech on attitude is always a good thing. It's a form of recognition. It means the right people are doing the right thing to achieve the right results. If it's a speech on attitude 101, it might not be a good speech. Tom, can I see you in my office? We'll talk to you about attitude. Will other people be joining us? Not today. And when I got done, I went down to Rick's office. He's got a really cool office. He's got this amazing library, and he reads a lot. He's got 5 or 6 books of the same book. And I said, how can you have so many copies of the same book? And he says, if if I read a book and I like it, I'll tell everybody about it. And he says they can give it to their kids, their spouse, their friend, customer. If it makes their life better, I want them to have it. And then he said something you'll never hear a dodo bird say. You'll only hear an eagle say. He says, I want my employees to work harder on themselves than they do their job. Now that's the first time I ever heard that. And I said, huh? I said, don't you want them to work hard? He goes, yeah, I want them to work hard. But he says, see, I've learned in 25 years that when people become better at who they are, they become awesome at what they do. And he says, that's what we want. Rick's not here, but he's got the right attitude. Let's give him a hand. All right, we've come to the closing. I'm going to share one last story. One last point. Was it all right for you guys? This picture actually turned out all right. I'm looking at it. I'm always critical of my work, and I'm like, I'm liking it. I like it. I'm going to share one last story. When I'm done, I usually have positive postcards, but I don't have any. But Brian, I'll send you some when I'm done. It's a thing I've been doing for a long time. But if you go to my website, it's really cool. It's absolutely free. It's hit positive postcards, and every 3 or 4 months we send you a postcard with a positive quote on it, maybe my artwork on the front. It's absolutely free. It's just something to put on the fridge. I started doing that when some guy, I don't know, in a Charger pulled up to me on a PetSmart. He's like, ah! I was like, hello. He rolls down the window and he goes, hey! Attitude guy! You're on a fridge! It's like, so we got your postcard on the fridge. Helps our family start the attitude right every day. I was like, okay, weird guy. See you later. So if you didn't like today, visit my website and send me an email. If you didn't like it, let me know, and we'll send you a virus that you know we think of you. And I always like to do something fun, like I said. I always make my books available when I'm done. This one's called The Big Book of Attitude. I brought this one today. It's 10 books I've written. We put them in one. Our ironclad guarantee with this is if it doesn't make you laugh out loud or inspire you, we'll buy you a big bottle of fiber. I'm not kidding either. But here's what's really cool. We're going to do a little contest. I'm going to close with a story really fast, but we'll do a contest. If you purchase a book, I'm going to have you write your name on a note card back there, and then I'll let Brian do a drawing. And then you don't have to do it today, but you can do it and then send it to whoever. And then it's just for one of my originals. So kind of like what I did today. And this one's worth $5,000. If you're just the host of the Price is Right one day. Here's the last point. Your attitude is your message. It's your brand, it's your culture, it's your legacy. It's what people are going to remember you for, right? You don't want to be like the guy named Herb. Herb, I guess, had the wrong attitude. When Herb passed on, his wife went to the local newspaper and she went to fill out the obituary. And the guy said, what would you like it to say? And she said, Herb is dead. The guy wrote it down. He's like, you have another line you can fill in if you want. She goes, okay, Herb is dead, fishing boat for sale. I'll be like Herb. You gotta remember, your attitude is your message. Your attitude partnered with your skills and your actions is what shapes your message to your kids, the people you work with, to your community, to yourself. Your attitude is your message. What do you want your message to be?